Do you ever sit on your sofa, sober, staring at the clock or the wall or the TV, thinking, why does life feel so boring? This is very common in early sobriety or when we're experimenting with quitting. In this video, we'll unpack why this happens and why it's more than just boredom and how to shift it this week. So first, let's look at what's happening inside your brain. Alcohol spikes dopamine and quiets some of your nervous system activity. That's why evenings maybe used to feel fast and exciting, even effortless. But now your brain's baseline is lower. Evenings stretch longer and normal activities sometimes feel a bit flat or empty. There's also a process called opponent process, where the brain balances out the alcohol highs. In early sobriety, your brain is still riding that low from all of the years of spikes. So yes, your evenings might feel empty. Time seems stretched, effort feels bigger. That's science, and it's not a failure on your part. Now, I remember sitting at my desk on a quiet evening shortly after I'd first abstained from alcohol, and I was toying with the idea of quitting for good. I sat there and I just drew a blank on what to do. I was asking myself questions like, what do people actually do if they're not drinking? What do I personally enjoy that isn't connected to alcohol? And also, who even am I now? It was almost a kind of mini personal crisis. I'd stopped knowing myself and I had no idea who I was or what I liked. Or at least that's how it felt. So I asked myself the question, what would I do by myself if I wanted to enjoy some free time? What would I do socially that didn't involve drinking in a culture that relies so heavily on it? So what happens when we add that culture layer in, especially here in the UK? Our social lives are soaked in alcohol. Pints after work, weekend rounds, celebrations, shots at the bar, cocktails for a birthday, champagne at a wedding. And there are lots of other places around the world where this is very common as well. But remove the alcohol and you don't just lose, it's not just the drink that disappears. You lose that structure, the ritual, and the whole plan. You're untethered from this kind of default script that nearly everyone is unconsciously following. Now, there's a thing called normative misperception that kicks in too. It's essentially you think everyone else is having fun, FOMO. That gap feeds the boredom story, but it's not reality. Observing it, you can see that boredom is really just dislocation from the social script that you left behind. A friend of mine was telling me about her first sober Friday night. She felt lost and awkward, confused and bored, until she noticed how much she was enjoying some music that she'd put on. She said it felt like she had never really fully appreciated how good something simple like listening to music can really be. And then there came other small joys like going on a long walk or a swim, things that she hadn't appreciated in years or hadn't been able to do in a body that actually felt healthy and balanced. So there's also a twist in this narrative around quitting. Sometimes what we call boredom, it isn't actually boredom at all. It's really the discomfort of sitting with ourselves. No distraction, no drink, no background noise, just you, your thoughts, and a part of yourself that you've been avoiding. Now that can feel quite scary, awkward, even empty. Basically, alcohol blurred the world around you, or the mirror you looked in. Sobriety clears it. You see patterns, habits, memories, and feelings without anesthesia. And that can be pretty confronting for sure. But it is also illuminating. And really, that is where growth begins. We can build an entire self-contained persona or identity around alcohol and the culture that goes with it. And I remember feeling quite uncomfortable and confronted when I first saw this new version of myself, which, when you think about it, isn't actually new. It's the old you that you had hidden away, a version of you that you accidentally abandoned. But it's easy to make the mistake that this awkwardness, this discomfort, is boredom, when in fact it may not be. It might be that you just don't know yourself enough anymore. So boredom is often a mismatch between challenge and skill, like what psychologists call flow. Alcohol fakes that flow. There's less self-consciousness, more temporary courage, and then sobriety can make normal tasks feel kind of understimulating. So this is where micro challenges matter. Something slightly above your current skill level where progress is visible. That's where engagement, real sober engagement with self, comes alive. When I quit alcohol, I knew I was going to be saving a fairly substantial amount of money over time. So I decided to treat myself, the new me, to some equipment for music production. Headphones, sound card, and a digital audio workstation, and a nice computer to do it on. And I set about the unbelievably complex task of making music on a computer. Now, this in many ways saved my life at that point. It was something I found that put me in that flow state where time disappears and I was able to create from my true unhindered self. Like, you can't create from your true self if you're using something to escape it. But this wasn't escaping into music, it was growing into it, creating with it. So I can't understate how important it is to really sit with yourself and ask yourself these questions until you're able to discover something that you really like to do, something that truly lights you up. So here's a list of ways we can explore ourselves and discover who we really are, to rebuild interest, energy, and meaning in your sober life. So number 1, novelty. A new walk, a new route somewhere, find a new cafe or a park, basically a change of scenery. It's a really good thing to just change things up a little bit. So number 2, belonging. Message a friend, plan some kind of like low effort hangout, spend some time with someone you love. Number 3, mastery. Micro skill practicing. That can be making music, drawing, woodwork, craft, cooking. Get slightly better at something. Number 4, autonomy. Design your evenings and weekends. Own your time. Start planning to do things so you don't end up sitting in existential dread or turmoil on a Friday night just because you didn't think ahead. So number 5, flow. Find a task slightly above your current skill level in something, make some visible and tangible progress with it. Number 6, your body. Have a brisk walk, exercise, sunlight exposure. Get your body out in nature or into water or into sunshine. Number 7, pro-social acts. Help a friend, volunteer somewhere, see if there's anything you can do to help someone. Because your brain is recalibrating. An empty hour is an invitation to get to know yourself better. It's not a failure. Like, you're not boring. Life just feels quiet at first because your inputs have changed. Show up, experiment, and the evenings start to feel alive again. Now, here's a question for you. Which hour of the day feels the longest for you right now? Drop it in the comments and I will reply with a micro plan for you. So if you want to keep learning about who you are without alcohol, keep on watching in the third person. I'll see you next week.